on Thursday for
That's Oldham, innit?
That's all.
No, but it's
That's not
mental.
us. We do
Yeah,
a market
we've asked them.
on a weekend, don't we?
Well,
Every
that's just bloody
They've been asked them
stupid.
questions.
What I will
They've
say
been
as
asked them.
well,
The old
all
market
these
was
shops with the illegal vapes and all that,
We do
I
look
constantly
really hard on them.
report them in and they're constantly being raided. So the more they're raided, they might get cheated off with it and then eventually,
They'll have a load of
Disappear.
extra shops.
yeah.
So on a Sunday, will the Sunday market still go ahead if you're not together with the
Yes,
Southampton
I'm
Independent?
still a town councillor.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still a town councillor.
Right, okay.
I'm a professional town councillor as well, so regardless of the personal differences or whatever, and I can only speak for myself on this, there'll be no change in my behaviour. That market, I don't know whether you've seen me before, but I'm on that market street for 12 hours on the Sunday on that day.
But on a
I don't know
I'll
how you
still
do
be
it.
there.
On a personal level, this is aimed at me. Would you ever stop a community group receiving funding because people are in that group?
Well, I think minority. I think it was
But
a
would
town
you?
council business, wasn't it? It was the name Royton which was in it. It didn't meet
No,
the
no,
criteria.
Well, this is not on about that.
No, it's not about that.
Which other one?
Well,
I don't really want to make it public, but
Right then.
would
I'm
you?
quite happy to
Well,
make it public.
No, it's
Well,
not
we
fair.
can talk again about
Not
it.
fair.
I'm not. No, I want to make it public, but I'm not going to mention any names. But somebody was approached to ask to sack us from one of their groups, a well-known group.
Or they wouldn't give them
or
funding
they won't
anymore.
give them funding anymore. And I've got the email, but I'm going to redact it of
Oh,
all
I
the
know
names.
what you're going on about.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. I thought.
Well, I know it weren't you, but
No, but the question was,
Lisa knows.
would you allow it?
Would I allow it with? I'd have to read the context.
oh, I know that. I'm just
You'd have
bringing
to
it
phone
up.
him in and read the full context.
Yeah,
of
but
it.
you lot make the decisions on
We know
whether
exactly
people get
everything
funding.
that's happened.
Right, well,
But my
if
question
you want
was,
to forward that to me on my email, and I'll read it in the context, and I can give you an answer.
Well,
No, but
it
it's-
can't
it's a
because
form of blackmail,
it's
innit?
with the police
Right,
at the
so-
Right,
minute.
well, that's
so
fine
it
then, but.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with town councillors regarding ward funding, which has nothing to do
Right,
with
and that's
you.
got nothing to do with me, but
Yeah.
if you did want any assistance, that's where you get me.
I know you're allowed
I'm
to
just
do
asking
it
his
comes
opinion.
out
I'm not
to what
having
it's
a go at
against.
him.
As a councillor, and you as well, Liz, I'm not trying to ignore you. Do you know
Hey,
of
it's
any?
my night tonight, not yours.
I know, she's still here. Do you know of any more takeaways that are planned for a shop?
No, we're not something we get. Not something we get privy
We
to
don't
be
actually
honest.
deal with anything like that.
It's not something we get privy to. Something I'd like we got privacy to. I'd love them to have to run it by us and we had a full judgment on it.
So we
That's
have
why
to
I'd love it
take
to be
this-
a town council, but it's not something to do. Planning what we do is recommendations only. Not everything comes before us. Yeah, I think there's far too many takeaways. I think there's far too many barbers, far too many buggy shops, far too many vape shops. But then you've got the backside of it, which is Temple there says. What if these shops were all empty?
Yeah.
Then you've got degeneration.
It'd be
And
like
Well,
real.
we've
and
got
then it's going to look like a
degeneration
ghost
already.
town.
You
Can't always have what you want. But
Close them all, it'd be
you know what I
like
mean?
real.
Would we want? Yeah. What we'd love is a load of some green grocers in there, some children's clothes shops. We'd love it. Sports shop. We'd love all that. But the area's not attractive anymore.
When I first moved into Shaw, sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
nearly 40 years ago now, we had all that,
We did.
and then Tesco were allowed to open, then Asda, then Aldi,
Yeah, they fucked everything up everywhere.
and then everything just started disappearing.
I mean,
Can't blame me for that. Stuart.
I'm not blaming you, Lee.
But what I was saying is, you get it.
You can't just say, no, you're not putting that
My sister's business failed because of Asda.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
she
She
was
business
very
failed.
busy.
That's what I'm
And it
saying.
was my mum and dad's business before
My
that.
daughter's business
So,
because of it.
yeah,
You know
so
what I mean? 'Cause
our daughter were in.
we've lost investments ourselves trying to invest in town, in our town.
Yeah.
We've tried to invest locally, you know what I mean? But that's what we want to do. And it's going to be a long journey. That's it. But you've got to start somewhere. And what I'll say today to you all, you know, is that a lot of stuff I want to do are the basic things to get them right first. And there's an old saying, and we're an old-fashioned quiet town, and it's all been said to you when you were children. Look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves. So we've got to start getting them penny jobs done. Get them done. Let's build it up slowly. And when it gets nicer and stuff, and then we're looking at other people, we might be able to get people to come and invest money. But we've got to get the basics right first. And I know we talk about bigger stuff, and we'd all want swimming back, but something I can't promise you. I'm not going to pledge you that. What I'll do, work on the basics, the stuff what's affecting people's lives, like I said, and it could be bins, it could be fly tipping, it could be noisy neighbours. What's affecting people? And you know, to one person it's nothing, but another it's a total. The life's over through it.
When I moved into Shaw had a tip.
Yeah.
It's had a swimming baths. It's had a town
That,
hall.
yeah.
It's had a proper market every week. And then
Brilliant.
Oldham Council suddenly, or somebody suddenly
Who
decided,
was in charge?
let's shut them all
It
down.
was Oldham
not-
Council
it's
that
not
shut
the
it
council what's there
down.
now, is it?
And then give them 4 stalls on High Street.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a live
A
gentleman.
lot of this happened
You
under
can't
structure.
blame
Some
the
people who
Lib
won't like it.
Dems. You can't blame the Lib Dems.
I definitely don't want them back.
It was Oldham
Who
Council.
do we need? Who do we
30 years and we've had no.
They were at the protest for the baths. They were against it, the Lib Dems. They were at the protest for the baths. They were.
Yeah.
They were in charge when it went.
But-
There was a big petition signed for the baths. There was one for the market,
Oh,
one
God.
for the tip, and they all got turned down
Petitions
by
mean
council.
nothing anymore,
The
Stuart.
one that wrote
Can-
They,
can
they
we-
put it down to discipline. It ended up, it shut a year early, I believe, or 18 months earlier than it should have done, while they were still petitioning because the boiler broke and there was no money to fix the
Yeah,
boiler.
but that-
The boiler in the swimming pool was probably a bit of a big job, but could it have been fixed? In my view, it could have been fixed. Like I said, I work in construction, it was a lovely building, needed a lot of money. I think in this day and age, a building like that would have been like to been protected
Yeah.
than, but I think it was government policies, like I say, way up there again at national level, which dictated it's let's urban clear out. But these days, I think we're on a different path where these buildings would have been protected.
Yeah,
It's
the
happened
path-
in Salford, it's happened in places like that. But we are where we are, we can't go back to that, you know what I mean, unfortunately. But what we did get is an health centre, a new health centre. But, you know, that was always part of the tabling, I believe.
Yeah, the path we're on now is becoming a Muslim country with all the
Charlie, I've
bloody
got my hand.
illegals that are being allowed
Well,
in.
illegal, you've touched on something illegal there, and I don't mind, I'll come back to your questions, and if nobody's asked me on this, but I'll give you my views on illegal immigration. It's illegal. Some immigration is much needed in this country, skilled immigration. People who come to the country to better themselves because they've got themselves skilled, they bring the skills to our country, what we need. They're coming here with money, they bring their families, and they want to live a better life, and they've worked hard for that opportunity. But what we don't need is illegal immigration. It is a crime,
Yeah, but we've
and it
allowed...
should be treated as a crime. It shouldn't be treated as hotel guests. They should be treated through the penal system. That are my views, and that is 100% on that. It's
Yeah.
breaking of the law.
They shouldn't be
They
allowed
brought
in the
a law out-
country.
I won't forget you, Don, sorry.
All right, okay.
They brought a law out not long ago to make it illegal to enter a football ground without a ticket. Knowingly enter a football ground without a ticket, it is an illegal offence
Yeah,
now.
but they allow all these people
Right,
in.
yeah, so they've done that. To knowingly enter with a forged ticket, it's a crime. Yeah, they will impose penalties on these crimes. But what we need is penalties on illegal immigration. They'll stop coming. These people are coming for a reason. They're either
Money.
well, it could be money, but they
Oh,
could be
definitely money.
fleeing from really bad situations. Hear me out with this one.
Yeah.
But they're coming from another safe place. That's the problem. Yeah? Asylum. The first safe place you reach, you've got to claim asylum.
Yeah.
That's national treaty laws.
I understand that.
So once you've done that, so they come from France, it's a safe place.
Why are they coming here?
That's for
For
money.
money.
Why are
That's what I
we
just
paying them
Well, that's
money
it.
to stop them coming and they're
Well,
not?
that's it. But that's my views on illegal immigration. It should be treated as a
No,
crime.
it's not Lee's fault.
Have you got a question?
If we have big
Yeah.
enough prisons, you put them all in
Yeah.
prison for doing it, then they will stop coming. You try and get through a border crossing without a passport when you go on holiday. You're not going to get up to
Don't-
your hotel.
Don't put them in prison.
Send
Fly them back out.
Well,
It'll cost just
send
as
them
much
Either way, it's got to be treated as a... Well,
as a crime.
the first point of contacts with it are to detain and deport. That was a new beefed up law, I think it was 2023. Detain and deport. Right? But after that, it is illegal. So if there's no option to detain and deport, it's a crime. And it's such a crime as much as any other crime is, in my view. Don,
Yeah, I have got a couple of little questions.
Have you
Hopefully
found
they
your
don't
amendment,
they won't run on. Are you going to be doing surgeries?
yes,
Yeah.
I will do that. It's just something I was keen on that
Right.
myself last time when I stood. Yeah, and it'd be similar to places like this. It wouldn't be all sat on a desk and a line and everything, you know what I mean? People are quite welcome to come and ask questions, and I'll always be available through an email for any questions to be asked anyway. But yeah, will be doing some sort of surgery. I don't want to call them surgeries.
I know.
They something a bit more modern than that, where I don't know quite get it, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
it's question and answer. So you know what I mean, or something like
And
that.
that
where-
money that they've been given to Shaw and Crompton and Brighton, is there any chance of having some of it for Dunwood Park, please?
Well, they would have
Because
had to
all
put
the benches are all
Well,
crumbling.
if they'd have put an offer in, they would have got some. Yeah, put a bid in.
Joe Beeston.
So, well, we won't call it, but like I said, the money was there, and they would have been an ideal example.
I
Yeah.
know. We've got one. The rest of them, you can't even sit on them anymore. It's ridiculous.
Well, but there is other fundings coming through.
Right.
So keep in
Which
contact
we-
with
we
us.
are
Vote for us
working
and keep in
hard.
contact with us. And we'll be the first ones to know,
Hang on, I
because
ain't finished
there's a
yet.
lot of funding coming through for parks and things. But there's also a lot. So that parks is coming.
I know
through.
there's a thing coming up with
There's
Action
also
Together in a
lot
couple of weeks.
investment
I am
coming
looking
through
for that.
For Sports England. So there's a lot of funding out there.
That's what
But
we're
people
aiming
don't
on,
know.
me and Lee.
And we want to be in a position where we know that funding's there and have some effect where we can drag it back here. And
What do you think your chances are of getting in?
Mate, I don't know.
I know
It's not even a
it's
toss
nobody
of coin.
knows what's going to
It's not even a
happen.
toss of coin. If you were
I
a
know.
bookmaker, you'd probably make a killing.
I couldn't
Everybody's
put
gonna bet
any money
someone
on
else.
See, what
anybody.
it is, it's those that are, sorry, it's those that are negative. And if they come tonight, instead of being on keyboards and saying that they know everything, if they just turned up tonight, they'd have seen everything about what Lee is about and what he's offering to get the votes.
I'll be
What
totally
it is-
honest, I've completely lost faith in everybody in
It is.
Shaw.
I'll tell you, I'll go national now, but these are my views. These are my views national.
In Shaw,
that's-
or the country.
In both.
Everything.
In both.
Nationally.
It's an absolute disgrace.
I'm
In
only
Shaw,
bothered about
people
Shaw,
don't
I'm
know
not
what's
bothered
going
about the
on.
country.
No.
I'm bothered
but
about
we've got
Shaw.
to work down from there because that's where a lot of money devolves from, you know what I mean? And money is what sort of drives a lot of this stuff. So nationally, comes in around us. There's not, Labour and Conservatives have never been as close together in my view, on policy-wise and stuff. You know, the little bits and bats, they always have a few bits, but they need to get the rest together. Because to me,
They have done.
well, yeah, but they need to knock them together. Because for me, we're still two major parties in this country. Now, reform are here because these two major parties, will I say, they're not doing what people want.
No.
So they've left this avenue open for a single policy government. But, you know, will we be here next time saying, oh, our NHS is in a lot more mess than it was now. I know it's not most of the greatest, but looks after me okay. Well, the NHS are right, we don't get any visitors coming, but NHS is on its knees, all schools are on its knees. They're not throwing policies out there. And like I said, the biggest promise from the reform is, we'll fix broken Britain. They want to fix it with all the people who broke it. Because every minister they've got, and every person of authority, is ex-Conservative. And they was in power for the 14 years of the breaking.
Don't matter either.
The one question I got asked to ask,
Yeah, come to you in a minute, Dennis, sorry.
it's not from me. It's, oh, sorry, Dennis, are you
Go on,
going?
we'll go
Sorry.
Dennis, well,
Yeah.
As you well know, that I do quite a lot for the NHS.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you early on. What's happening in the NHS at the moment is that it's run by agency now. Are you with me? Which I mentioned to you again. And they've got all these managers that don't work 7 days a week. Are you with me? And I think that the way the NHS is going, this is my personal opinion because I do quite a lot of meetings, is that eventually, especially with reform, I think it's, this is what I think will happen. If you've got the money, you can pay and jump the queue.
Well, that's
Which-
it. Privatisation of it. It's you
Which
know what I
is
mean?
diabolical, absolutely.
I'll just answer this. It is national politics, Dennis, but the NHS isn't free for everybody. A lot of people
No,
pay a
I
lot of
know
money
that.
into that NHS.
Yeah.
I'm one of them, you know what I mean? And so, alright, yeah, I do use the service, and thankfully they've kept me alive a couple of times. But people say, well, if you've got free this, you pay it through your national insurance. And I think this is what gets people's backs up, and I think most every in this room is some people don't pay. But they're not always people from outside this country who are coming in. Some people from within this country who don't pay at all
Precisely.
as well. So I think that's what Dennis is getting at, is if, that privatisation of it, you know, private.
It's all
I think if we
government.
could all start again, if I could start again from the word dot, I'd say, right, I'll opt out and I'll do it private. if you pay your premiums privately, like you pay your national insurance, you're going to be welcomed by a new year, like they do in other countries.
Lee, it's overrun at the moment because
It is overrun, but
when I go down to meetings there and you look at the A&E especially, there's people there that we've just been touching on. Are coming from other countries and using it.
well,
and then
yeah, there's a lot using it from not other countries as well, don't get me wrong. And
Well, there's a
use
lot of
it.
people working in the
But
NHS that are from
there's a lot of
abroad
people
that's
which we
supporting
needed,
it.
much needed migration from other countries as well.
The
You know
staff
what I
are
mean?
brilliant. The staff are brilliant.
You've just had an hospital stay, haven't you, Billy? Just give us your view.
Near enough a week there last week.
And these are national stuff, but you know, we're open to
The
it.
staff were absolutely brilliant. Some of the people.
I was in there the other week and the staff were brilliant in ACU.
The staff can only do what
What they can do. We're open.
Some of the staff.
The structure of it all is a bit out of kilter.
It's a bit out of kilter. The problem is,
When I was in A&E, I felt like a spot on a domino.
It is. Well, all my family, my children, they've all had an hospital stay this year, unfortunately. And it was, they wait in A&E, what Billy says, it's a bad one.
Old people just sat in corridors.
In
like
corridors,
that.
it's heartbreaking.
Nicely.
It's heartbreaking.
Right, there's one old agent went in and seven of the sons turned up.
They should, well, that should be rules enforced.
Nowhere for anyone to sit.
No,
Well, that's nothing to do with what's going on today.
no, it's not to do this, but it's worthy of talking point, people giving their views. But yeah, it's overstretched, the doctors are overstretched, the structure's wrong. But my
Can't fault
personal
the
things
staff.
are, I know they've kept me alive. And it's, like I say, it's not the great, and like you said, it's never going to be perfect. There's too many people involved in it. But right, Dom,
The question I've been asked to ask is, it's more of a personal one to you, I think.
all right.
Whether you'd be willing to have an enhanced DBS check because people think that you're fighting against. Lisa, they said that you voted against enhanced DBS checks in the chamber.
You have
No,
to-
not you. No, not you.
Lee's got an announced and
Right.
No, no, I've got at town council we have
Yeah.
a basic. Now you have to have a basic. You can't have an enhanced one because you're not employed.
No, what I mean is, they said that
We were part
no,
of bringing it in.
at Oldham Council,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they had the
that's a good
vote, Lisa and Mark voted against the enhanced DBS
I
checks.
don't think they did.
No, I don't mean you personally. Voted against everybody having one. It's a councillor.
I don't know that way. That's
When,
Lisa.
when you become a councillor, the first thing that you do is fill a form in to your
You have to have one.
DBS. That is the very first thing that you've got to pay. So I don't care what is said on Facebook, that is the truth.
I think
I
I-
have to do that.
It's a really big rumour going round about you, Lee, about
Right then.
not being able to pass an enhanced DBS check.
test, well. So right, well Lisa there is I'm going to a bit of confusion here. See, your enhanced DBS check is only if you don't keep it up to date. It's out of date because any DBS can because in the time if you don't re-register it, there's a re-registering where you pay a
Oh yeah,
subscription
we're
where it
DBS
re-registers.
check.
So if you don't do that, you've got a DBS for 12 months. In that 12 months, you can basically do what you want, shall we say. And you've still got a DBS. So it's the re-registering.
But when you're
which is-
talking-
and that's what is at Oldham Council.
Yeah.
They were saying councils haven't got the enhanced one. They haven't paid the re-registering.
But with you
fee.
saying you had the conviction from years ago,
Yeah.
and that's spent, would
Spent.
that flag up
Yeah.
on
It
an
flags up on
enhanced
an
one?
enhanced DBS, yeah.
No,
but
but for you, I mean.
yes, it would, but my
Yeah.
conviction is spent.
Right. Okay.
It's-
It's just a
I'll
question.
can I ask the next
What's
question?
your own-
Certainly can.
That will be me
Well, I was
finished.
there.
You brought it
I was
up,
there and I
actually.
got convicted with him.
Yeah, you brought it up actually.
Charlie, I think you might have been there actually.
Right,
I
we'll
might
just
have
have
been,
this
yeah.
question there.
But I've never been convicted, and I've got the checks to prove it. I've never done anything. I've never been in
I'm not
trouble
saying
with
you have,
police.
I'm saying
Yeah.
Right, excuse me.
No, I weren't there.
I weren't there.
Right. We were talking before about groups, and you know what I'm going to ask you now, because when we were refused a grant by Shaw Council, what was the reason?
Because she was tabled as a short, Compton and Royton, and you didn't meet criteria because we don't give money to
But
Royton.
Writing over 60's got one
Yeah.
at
No,
Dovetails.
no.
It's classed as
They,
Writing over
they
60's.
actually, they actually advertise it in the window. It's still there.
Writing
It's
over
been
60's
months.
got funding from
Right,
Shaw
over 60s
Council.
use that as a basis, but they weren't the applicants.
And it's the same with Sean
Well,
Crompton
all
Meals
that
on
happened with
Wheels.
us was we wanted to bring people to groups together to help each other. Like we lend.
I thought we'd put that to bed though. I thought we had a good
No.
chat on that night.
We
said
didn't
if you
have a
come
good
back
chat.
And you reword the bid. I mean, you was all in agreement on that night. I'm sure we can agree on that.
Well, we were all
But
in
you never
agreement.
came back.
The very next day I wrote to Tony and see if I'm in agreements. I said I don't agree with what happened.
But you did at the night, because...
I didn't agree, no, what could I do at night? What was I going to do?
No,
Have a
well,
tant?
Well, you could have
No,
done.
on the whatever you send to Tony, we don't get to hear about.
No, we're not.
Well, he got it the next day because
Well,
I took it,
it's
I hand delivered it.
confidential to
I do
Yeah.
believe on that.
Well, it's not.
Don't,
It's
yeah,
confidential
something
to
we did
me,
have a chat,
and
I did
I
give
tell you,
advice and
I
you can
sent
put
it.
forward to make that.
But since we got
The
refused,
excuse you used was
It wasn't
you
an
can't
excuse.
have it
It
because
wasn't
you've
an
helped.
excuse.
You've helped. It was Frankie Fest, weren't it? You've helped Frankie
No, it
Fest.
wasn't
you know.
that.
it was
didn't-
because we
them
put
weren't the
writing
words.
on the.
Yeah.
Put writing in the club.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Brighton is
Well,
not
apparently-
Brighton.
You can't
to
tell a
them then.
group. You can't tell a group what to do.
No, but you was tabled as it was about the wording. You didn't meet the criteria as it stood. So, and I thought we'd got that right, and you was coming
You
back.
mean
with
we
it.
had to lie to you to get a grant
No, you
because
don't.
other people do the same
No,
thing?
but you're not getting it, Charlie. Listen, I'll just, Charlie, you're not quite getting it.
I am getting it.
It was tabled on the actual form as Royton. Now that doesn't
No,
meet
it
our
was
criteria.
Taylor's, Shaw,
Crompton
Crompton,
and
and
Brighton.
Brighton.
Straw Crompton and writing, yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
I know
it's
what
not.
it's called.
So if it was short events group and Royton events group, C wouldn't be meet criteria.
But since we
But
got
can I
refused,
just say something? In part of the town council's boundaries, it goes into Ryan, doesn't
yeah,
it?
up at Narrogate.
So could you not have done it? I mean, I'm
Well,
not
maybe
saying-
look at, maybe
You
someone
could
could
have-
look at, yeah. Maybe
could
someone
have
could look at,
a
like I
bit of
said.
leeway there.
But don't make it up. Nobody gets nobody gets everything right.
No, do the heck. But what I'm saying is you can manoeuvre it. And that's
Yeah.
like, you know.
But since we got refused, we looked into others that had funding,
Right.
and there were grants given to people that do stuff outside of Shaw.
It might be outside, but it's
It's
to me it was important on the tabling of the actual writing of it.
I know
That's
they do,
why we
but
thought we'd advised you. I thought I'd advised you to go away and to rewrite it differently, and then it would meet
Yeah.
criteria.
We weren't going to change the name of our group, but
yeah, we'd already registered the name.
I'd already spent that much on leaflets, which were no good to us then, because we couldn't get a grant, so we used his own
But
money.
I don't agree with it was the fact that it was to do with Frankie Fest, and it was a great,
No, it
great thing. So
Well-
you're saying I said you didn't get that because of that.
No,
I don't
that's the
think-
only
I
one we
don't think
did.
that's
I'm
correct.
saying that's the only one we had actually done, and that's why
Right.
we just wanted to try and get the people of Royton and Shaw together to work together,
Because it's
rather-
like-
and then fight.
It's a toughie that though, isn't it?
It is a toughie, but it doesn't help when you
I
get
said,
refused a
but
grant straight away.
on other areas, you say you're only interested in short. You said it before.
I never said that.
Yes, you did. You
I've
said you were
never
sat there
ever-
today.
I know I said it.
Oh, was it you?
Yeah, I've never
I must
ever
have-
said that.
I lived in Wrighton.
We
Whoever
don't.
said it has been said in here tonight. Well, interested in short. So
Yeah.
anyway, can we put that one to bed?
Yeah.
Anything else? Is that it?
Alison?
No, no.
Oh, Daniel, got
Oh,
a
no,
question.
anything?
Oh,
No.
no. Anybody?
You got any questions for us?
Have you enjoyed it tonight?
It's been alright. It's been better than the other night, anyway.
Right. Well,
A lot
Yeah.
quieter, Charlie.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
Can I
quieter.
just let everybody...
no, you can't. No, well, I'm
Please,
finished.
oh,
Yeah. So, well, I'm glad you've all come. I wish there'd have been a few more.